Oh, my fucking back, man.
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You
My
broke
back is broken.
what? A vertebrae or
Well,
what portion?
Spinal.
It's from all the jujitsu I've been doing, all these tournaments I've been placing in. You know? What am I? TK, a brown belt?
I went to Florida. I did some jujitsu.
You were in Florida?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't hear anything from you at all.
Yeah, this week I was a little bit out of touch. Then I jumped on
You're,
a plane to go to Quebec for some skiing. And I talked to our buddy Greg, and
Holy.
he said, oh, you're away all week. He says, well, I guess that really tells me something about the spring market.
That's telling me something about the market for sure. Yeah.
And I
Greg's
was
a
like, I never
busy
even thought
beaver.
I never even thought about it that way. But I'm like, you know what, Greg, maybe you're right.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
No,
maybe
I
you're
don't
right.
think so. You're busy, huh? You
No,
got
we had a
lots
good
going on.
month. Yeah, the team had a good month. I mean, my month was whatever, but
Your month was whatever.
we had a couple of sales. We got a couple sold conditional. See what happens. But the team was doing good, so there was a lot of people out there making deals. I noticed
It's
more
like,
than it was in January and February. But I think that's seasonal.
well, I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's pretty meek out there in real estate land, is it not?
Well,
March,
that's what people. Well, I haven't seen the March numbers yet because it's still at the end of the month, and I wait for the market watch to come out. But bottom line is this, Daryl. Okay, if people need to buy, they're gonna buy. If people need to sell, they're gonna sell, and people will find a way to do it. So, like, enough is enough here. Do I think prices are still coming down? Yes.
are they?
That's what's going on. That's just
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. Well,
How
you see,
fast? I don't know. I guess it'll depend. What are you doing this year for Liberation Day? What are your plans?
what? What the fuck is
Liberation,
Liberation Day
April 2nd. It's the Liberation Day. This is a huge holiday now in the States. This is a
in
major
the
thing.
States? Oh,
Absolutely.
well,
Tariffs are coming. Reciprocal tariffs,
oh, is that
Daryl.
what it is?
Yeah.
Liberation from,
I'm thinking about doing a barbecue or something. You know what I mean? I'm figuring,
are you going to
do something.
use only Canadian made products
I'm thinking I'm
at your
actually going to
barbecue?
do American products. Like I think I'm going to go
You
against the
want to
grain
go
and just
against the
and just
grain?
buy a bunch of American stuff that I'm like, and then I'll cook it and I'll make it and then I won't even eat it.
Hmm. It
Just to
sounds
just to do completely the opposite of what other people might be doing.
sounds like the same kind of mental process as a pre-construction investor had back in 2021
2022. Yeah.
2022, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that didn't make
Hold on.
any
What is that
sense.
building going for across the street? $900 a square foot. And I can buy it right now
1500,
and rent it out for $2,300, huh? And sorry,
1500.
what is that? What is that one going for? This one here that I
It
that I
doesn't
want to
matter.
move into for
Doesn't
another
matter.
5 years?
Who cares? What's the difference?
$1,800. Okay, so it's double. And what's the rent again?
Who
$2,700 a
cares?
month.
Things
All
only
right, so
go
it's a little bit
up.
more. A little bit
Everything
more.
goes up, only up.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
matter.
I think I should go
By
with the one
then,
that's going to close in 5 years.
yeah, by the time it's built, like that thing's gonna be worth God knows how much more.
Millions. I'll retire.
You could probably listen.
We shouldn't be
If
laughing. We should. People got sucked
who's
in, and
laughing?
a lot of people got. We're making jokes here,
No, but hold
but a
on,
lot of
TK.
people lost their life savings, Daryl. It's serious, and there's the agents.
Is there a lot? How many is a lot? Like as on the grand scheme of
40,000, something
things,
like that.
40,000 people have
I
lost
saw that
their
it was
entire
10 to 14 billion dollars of equity that's going to be wiped out.
10 to 14 billion dollars worth of equity. That's a big spread. No, 10 to
Yeah.
14 is not a huge
Well, I
spread,
guess it
but that's
depends
a
on
pretty
when
big
it
spread.
closes, how much
30%.
the market's got down. So that's a lot of money that
Wiped
people
out.
wiped out. So like
Well,
they
does
would
it
have been
get
going
wiped
in with
out?
that. Well, in a sense, it
Who's
does
over?
because
Who's
people
to
had the
someone
cash. They
else?
were going into it. They might get sued. They have a contract that's worth here. The actual value is here, and that's what's lost, whether it's through default or closing on it and it just having negative equity, right? So, anyways, it's a lot of money. Tanner, you know what I would do with 10 or $14 billion, Daryl?
I have no idea what you would
Me
do with 10 or
neither.
14
I
billion
don't think I
dollars.
need that much.
I don't know what you could do with that much money, but you could do some damage for sure. I mean, you could probably start a robot empire in the event of maybe, being one of the people to be at the head of things when the robot wars start.
Okay, yeah, that would be cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to leave reviews for us. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast,
Hmm,
anywhere that they have the Canadian Real Estate Show, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Drop us a
whatever.
comment, leave us a review, like the comment, like the content. Misspeaking all over the place. Love you
This is
guys.
perfect.
See you next week.
Well,
Yeah,
I
head
mean,
of the
if you
robot
had
army.
10 to 14 billion dollars, you got to think of interesting ways of spending it.
Well,
You don't want to just buy a yacht. Anybody
I
could
don't
do
even know if
that.
that's enough money anymore. Look at what X's AI company's valued at, right?
Yeah.
They just bought X.
Yeah.
It's like $75 billion
80
dollars
billion, 80
for a
billion.
like a startup
Startup.
AI
Yeah,
company. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like these valuations are just like so insane. You know
So
what?
insane.
That type of what's that stuff like proprietary softwares and systems and all that kind of stuff. People are just like about seven. So I show up with my 10 or 14 billion. I'm like, I'm going to start myself a robot war.
Obviously.
I don't have enough money.
Obviously.
I don't have enough money. They're like, listen, then you're not even in the club yet.
No, but you can
You're gonna have to
start
start in
it.
the amateurs.
You don't have to own 100% of the robots, right? You don't have to own 100% of the company. Anyways, TK,
Hmm.
I don't know what this has to do with anything, but it is
Well, I
quite
think the starting
enjoyable.
of the show, instead of talking about my vacation, is
Your
more entertaining.
vacation. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little more
people don't
entertaining.
care that I'm away.
I
No one
think
gives
they
a shit.
do because it is indicative of things. Because, like, let's be honest, if you were busy selling more stuff, you probably would have not done both of those things simultaneously. Like, maybe not
It
end
was
up
actually
in
a very
Quebec.
foolish decision. It was actually a very foolish decision. I was away.
Say that
Um,
3 times fast.
it was a very foolish decision. I
Yeah,
was away,
yeah.
and so it's like I'm not calling as many contacts and clients and all that kind of stuff like that.
Mm.
So it's definitely going to cost me money eventually. There's some client out there who's already talking to another agent who's going to buy or sell with them because they're like, I never heard from TK this week. So,
Well, maybe.
and
But
that's the way it
listen,
goes.
sometimes you got to take a little time for yourself. It can't always just be work, 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 especially, now it's got to be intense for people, right? Because even if you just want to maintain a certain level of lifestyle, you have to work probably at least twice as hard in this market right now, right? More people are running for
Yeah.
the hills and trying to figure out backup plans and moving to cheaper places and all kinds of things. And this is even before we've really felt the effects of what seems to be looming. Actually, it's funny. There's so much confusion about these tariffs and what's going on and what they're being put on and when they're actually starting. Like my partners who do a lot of cross-border business, he called me yesterday. He goes, "Holy shit, like we're interviewing new companies to do our what's it called? Clearance, like border clearances,
Customs. Mhm.
customs and stuff like that. And these guys do a ton of volume, okay? And so they're interviewing new companies to do it. And the guy says to them, "Yeah, those tariffs have been in place since like March 15th or something." And my partner goes, "What? What do you mean? Like we haven't seen a bill or an invoice or anything. I thought they're not starting till next month." He says, "No, they started. They started a while ago." And
Okay.
it's like 20. Well, but
Steel and
how
aluminum.
no, no, it's like I don't know what the hell it's on for them, but it's something and it affects them 25%. I don't know what tariff. There's so many goddamn tariffs thrown around right now. But the fact is like with all their lawyers and all their consultants and accountants and everybody that they are been talking to in the industry, nobody knew except this customs broker that the tariffs were in place. So
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on?
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.
And then, I was doing a live yesterday and it was like, we're at war, we're retaliating. The car tariffs are coming on a broad scale across the world. And then somebody puts out there that there's no tariffs coming to Ontario cars. And meanwhile, you got Uncle Ron freaking everybody out that like everybody's
I don't know
fucked.
what I was hearing this week, because my I was a little bit disconnected, but is that if they're 50% or more American parts, there's no tariffs, and so there's certain vehicles that qualifies for. But apparently, this will still shut down the auto industry like immediately. Like there's still enough vehicles that can't be made because of that outside of American parts.
I was thinking this morning, like, why do we even have an auto industry here? Like, why are we part of that whole supply chain? Why is it in Ontario? Why isn't it in one of the states? It's so dumb.
I can't remember, but I think we had a guest on the show who was talking about it. What
It's part of the
happened?
free trade agreements, and
I
somehow
think,
it became cheaper to produce here. But that's just fucking stupidity. That
yeah.
that's
So
even a thing.
like 50 years ago,
Well, it never
there was an
was.
option to take everything out of Detroit and start moving it into Canada, and you got maybe it was a difference of the dollar cost and tax laws and stuff back then. But I'm sure it's better to make it in the States now. Like
Like
I
why?
bet you any money you can put up, like when you got to pay someone enough money so that they can afford to buy $1 million house just to live near the plant, like that's going to cost the business on their bottom line. But if you can take them to a place like Cleveland, Ohio, or Detroit or something like that, and like we're going to get you a house for 100 grand, or we're going to pay you $25 an hour, and you're going to live a great life over there, they'll fill those jobs.
You see, Mississippi announced no income tax anymore in Mississippi.
I love it.
No income tax for
And then you go,
businesses and for people.
and this is what the storyline right now is like, how do we fight this tariff war? And if it's done on a tax basis, on tax relief, like what a way to stimulate the world to move to Canada, move their businesses to Canada, and stimulate our economy just by giving these massive tax breaks.
Well,
You
only
know,
if you can figure out to ship it places other than the states, because the states is going to tariff us to death, right? But
but
hold
there's
on a
still a
sec.
lot of investment though that'll come from that.
So
You know,
so the point was though is like, why are we in the middle of this whole supply chain of car parts? Why are we not just extracting gas and oil and minerals and agriculture and all the stuff that this country has plenty of? Why do we have to rely so heavily on the fucking car market in the States? It's the dumbest shit ever.
because it's like anything else. It's like you can't just produce something. It's like I'm gonna be a baker, and I'm like, man, I can make 10,000 donuts a day. Well, if I don't have 10,000 people to sell them to before they expire, right? I
But
don't
you have
have
people
a
that want
legitimate business.
nickel and
But we
copper
don't
and
have
lithium.
we don't have the orders. We don't have the facilities for processing. We don't have the shipping channel.
Exactly.
Literally, it's
That's
not
the
set
whole
up. The
problem.
infrastructure is not there. Okay,
But that's because we set it up to do car parts. It's so
no,
fucking dumb.
that's a
Yes,
totally
you
different
should have
industry.
smelters and whatevers and refineries and everything to do with the stuff that we have here while having great access to the rest of the world through pipelines and
Sure,
shipping
but
lines
up
and
until this
rail
point,
lines.
there wasn't like, okay, this is
Up
a
to
good
this
example for
point.
you. Here's an analogy for you.
Hmm.
We should have more than enough housing, Daryl, because people should just buy the land and they should just build the building and people will just live there and there'll be
Yes.
more options for everybody.
Yes.
Well, why don't developers just do that?
Why don't we just give everybody free land and let them do what they want on it?
Well, why don't the
We
oil
don't need it to
companies then just
develop.
lose?
We don't
Why
need
don't the oil
developers then.
companies then just lose a bunch of money because they're not able to make their money back from the billions of dollars invested into that infrastructure? That's the
Yes.
issue. It
Yes.
doesn't make financial sense to them. It makes more sense to send the oil for refinement down south. It makes sense to be able to transport gas down south. It makes sense to have the deals that we have with the countries we have for agriculture and to be sending them that way because at the end of the day, that is the least or the best, most cost effective way,
Mhm.
right? And so it's like, oh my gosh, we can just do it, and like we just got to build it, and it's like these guys are going to make some more money.
That's
They
the
want to make the
problem.
money. The guys
That's
want
the
to make
problem.
the oil companies want to make the money. They will get investors to do it. Like you can see what um uh the um the the UAE guys are investing into the states. How much money they're putting into the states. We could go there. We can make a deal with Dubai. We could go there and say, hey, listen, you invest in our infrastructure and this is what we're going to do to be able to, pay you back, da 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 da. Because like the money is not the problem. It's they've looked at it. Canadians have looked at it. The oil industry's looked at it. The gas industry, everybody else has looked at it and going, you can't make any money because we're just so like far behind in that sector that there's just nothing that you can do to be and then the taxes and the tax basis and the federal government, the Canadian government basically hates Alberta, right? There's no support for them whatsoever, because they don't speak French. We can't get a Albertan uh, prime minister as easy. You know what I mean? Like, there's exceptions, but like, come on, most of the guys that we're going to be seeing are going to be coming from Ottawa area or Quebec. Mark Carney is like one exception. Where's Mark Carney from?
Yukon or like Northwest Territories or some crazy place like that. Although it's probably made up bullshit. He's probably from Toronto.
He's probably American.
He's probably American. Yeah, he's probably from Florida. But okay,
there's so much things going on there.
There's so many things going on everywhere. My head is spinning right now. So okay, so
I hear you. We hear you. We hear you.
We hear you.
Your Canadian blood is bleeding from your,
I was at the
wounds.
Blue Jay game.
No.
Thursday, and I was like, they pulled out the army, which is quite hilarious, but they brought out a bunch of people from the Canadian Army and they opened up the giant Canadian flag. And I got to tell you, TK, I brought a tear to my eye.
You shed a tear?
I shed a tear.
What about the guy wearing the hat that said Canada's not for sale?
Canada's not for sale? What a fucking
Did you
crazy.
See him? I swear to God, when I heard that
him
on the radio, I'm like, oh my God, it was Darryl.
It was
was Make Canada Great Again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's the first
imagine?
person I thought of, but I was like, you could have told me.
I was wearing the Make Canada Great Again sweater. But TK, it was a moment, okay? Because you could see Canada wanting to boo the national anthem so badly, okay? But it was a bunch of kids up there singing. So people held back. They didn't boo them, but they booed the shit out of the US team, right? And you just felt like this patriotism, and then they beat the crap out of our team, unfortunately. But you felt this moment when that flag came out that was like, Canada, we're Canadians. But quite honestly, TK, I'm trying to understand why Alberta and why does it work this way? Like, is the oil Alberta's or is it Canada's located in Alberta? Right? It is the gas, right? How does it work? Like, are the forests BC's or are they located in BC? Right? We have a wrong mentality in the country and it's fucking everything up. Okay. We should be highly invested in mining everything and selling it to the highest bidders while driving around in our Ferraris and our giant houses that we can all actually afford because there's no income tax because we're making so much money selling the stuff that we can mine and produce. This is the world we should be living in. But instead...
So primary responsibility for natural resources falls to provincial governments. However, the federal government has jurisdiction over offshore resources, trade and commerce, and natural resources, statistics, international relations, and boundaries.
How it should be, not how it is. So, right? Why is it
Alberta's got the power. That's why they've got the best taxes. That's why they've got the least amount of federal funding. They've got highest per capita incomes. Yeah, I mean, they got that, up and down type of real estate market, but I don't think the Albertans are crazy for real estate like we are in Ontario.
They can't
like, look at Quebec. When you go and look at Quebec and you see what like goes down there, like price wise, rent wise, all that kind of stuff, they're all pretty just chill. Like, yeah, I'm going to get a house, but I'm not going to like die over it.
I'm okay if I rent. They're like Europeans.
I'm not gonna be like, obsessed about, the need for the biggest, best house around, and then I'm gonna buy it. And that's an Ontario and BC thing that is incredibly impactful.
Well, BC's real estate market is based solely on corruption and fraud and money laundering and all those kind of things. Because there's no other reason to buy Vancouver real estate other than those things. But Alberta's interesting because apparently, TK, the way that things work is they can actually decide to fucking leave and there's nothing we can do about it. And so if the oil is theirs and they can decide to leave, I asked Grok this morning, can Canada and Ontario survive without Alberta.
Well, this answer is
And
going to be accurate.
well, I mean, I wanted an opinion that wasn't the humans for some odd reason because
Mm-hmm.
humans are really dumb, TK. Like,
They have
imagine if I
opinions.
asked somebody this question. Like, if I asked you this question, I can only imagine what's going to come out of your mouth. It will not be what Grok said, though. That's for
Okay.
sure.
Let me hear what
But I
Brock said.
think, well, it seems like we'd be pretty fucked for a while without Alberta, right? Because we need all of that oil, and they got
Yeah.
lucky, and they ended up there with the oil. Those
They got
sons of
lucky.
bitches, right? They got lucky geographically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you own a house, if you bought a house in Hogs Hollow or the Bridle Path like 80 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a piece of shit. It was like way up north in God's country. It was like, why are you doing that, you stupid asshole? Meanwhile, fast forward 80 years and the thing's worth $9 million for a beat up bungalow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Things change over time. And I don't know why I'm talking about that, but what the main thing is they got lucky geographically of where they ended up, right? That's the point
Okay.
of what I'm saying. Just like fucking Alberta. Okay. BC had to make up shit to do. They had to bring in fraud to get their real estate moving. Okay. Their oil in Calgary, these guys, this Danielle Smith knows how fucking important they are. And she's like out there going, we don't give a shit what the prime minister says, right? We got to
Mm-hmm.
do our own thing out here. Fuck all you guys. And you got all these guys from Calgary now going like, fuck all you guys in the rest of the country. We're
Yeah. Well, I
leaving.
mean, that's been a big movement that they've been talking about for a long time, but it's not going to happen. So that's the good news.
Why?
It's not going to happen.
Why?
I'm telling you, it's not
Are
going to
they
happen.
just using it as a bargaining chip to get better? Like they're negotiating with Canada too?
Well, hopefully, I mean,
Are they on Team Trump?
I believe that there's got to be some sort of changes to our political system. I think that having so much political power in Ontario doesn't make sense. Having so much in Quebec doesn't make sense. Having any in the Maritimes doesn't make sense.
well.
Or some of the territories. But I'm sure they've got little enough as it is already. But you got to find a way to be able to make this work. And I think that the best thing that could have happened to us is this trade war. Honestly, it's the best thing that could have ever happened to Canada because we're all waking up now. We're all actually looking at what it is that we're doing. We're supporting Canadian business. We're not thinking about like how to, take care of ourselves first. We're looking as a nation. You're crying, weeping tears at the Blue Jay game just because you got a lot of patriotism flowing through you. Where we could probably pull some videos not too
crazy.
long ago that said you'd wanted to be part of the 51st state. I don't know. Maybe it might be on the
Maybe.
internet there
Listen,
forever. But this type of
I'm
stuff.
moody.
Right? This is the type of stuff that pulls us together as a country. And I
moody
think that we
guy.
need to make big changes. Maybe we
Big
do a little bit more
changes.
trade with Europe. Maybe we do a little bit more trade with Asia. Maybe we do a little bit more trade interprovincially, all that kind of stuff, which is good. It
Good.
opens up networks. Do I think any major infrastructure is going to come from this? Probably not. There's probably a lot of things that
What
prevent
is
that
going to
from
come of
happening,
this?
and that it's most likely going to be on Liberation Day, something that, is actually going to be good for Canada and that we're going to back down. At the end of the day, we stand no chance fighting with the US in any way, shape, or form. There is zero like power or leverage that we have over them. I know we talk a big game and everyone can say, well, we got this and we surviving energy to few states and lumber. Trust me, there's no actual reason why the states can't just crush us at will. That's the reality of our situation. It's like going into a fight and you're telling your son, listen, all right, I know he's 60 pounds heavier than you and 5 years older than you, but if you step to the left and step to, like, he's gonna get his head pounced in. Just tell him and say, look, give the kid your lunch money and let him do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe
Do his
we can
homework
harness this energy
a couple
for our
days
benefit.
after class, and yeah, when the time comes, he might be useful to you when you got somebody else who's
Maybe
bigger
you
than
can
you.
put him on the payroll.
Right. So again, all these type of things are all just like, good for Canada because we are going to actually we might have to cut a deal with the states that is not as good as the one we had before. That's the truth.
That's horrible.
Well, it's the reality of it.
Oh
Like,
my
it's just
God.
like the reality of a negotiation is like the one with more leverage is the one who's going to
We're getting
win.
so fucked here. We're
Okay,
getting
but-
so fucked
But
here.
are we
And
getting fucked? Because now there's so many more things that are going to happen when we start looking around the corner and we're going to say, okay, now that we don't have such a great deal with the U.S. over the next however many decades, however long this type of agreement lasts for,
oh,
We're going to be
God.
saying to ourselves, what are ways that
Decades.
we can avoid that? What are ways that we can improve ourselves? At the
What are
end
we
of the
going to
day,
do for money?
if we keep relying on real estate for money, if we
Uh-oh.
keep relying on warehousing people,
Uh-oh.
okay, we know where this goes. Like
We
everybody
know
knows
where
where
it
this
goes.
goes.
Where does it
Everybody
go?
knows. It goes
I think if
into
you
an underproductive population with one of the lowest GDPs per capita in the
yeah,
G7. Like it's
we
like
took
this is
one really important part of the puzzle out. It was like, the doing the stuff, right? And other
yeah.
than building the houses,
We
it's
just
like
have the stuff.
we
We
should
got
just
the
all
stuff,
be.
but we're not doing any stuff.
No, we
And
should
so
be mining
taxes will be
stuff.
taxes will be the ultimate tool that the new federal government can use. And they're like you saw those tax
Did you
breaks.
say
You saw
the
that
new
charts.
liberal federal government?
I
Did
said
you
the new
just say
federal
that?
government. I said the
Oh,
new
okay.
federal
I
government.
thought I heard you say the new liberal federal
No,
government.
last episode, you and Vass thought Carney is going to win the next election, and I said no, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not
Have
a
you
chance.
seen the turnouts for this thing? Have you seen the turnouts for Pierre Poilievre? And did you see what happened at Carney's I don't know what
No.
the hell you call it. 8 people
Rally?
rally.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
No.
Wow. Some guy actually, funny enough, Steve Karish sent me the clip today. This guy, I talked about it
Today?
yesterday on my live. I was like, this guy out of nowhere yells at Mark Carney, like, how many kids did you fuck on Epstein Island? And Carney's like, starts talking in like Roman tongues or something, starts talking all weird. And then they removed the guy from the place. Pretty weird, pretty
Yeah.
crazy. But at Poilievre, everybody's like going crazy, and it's like
They're
a
all hyped
Trump
up.
rally, and they're all hyped up.
They had
And they're all
the
white.
polls when Kamala took over
all
for
white
Biden,
people,
and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Kamala's like in the lead; she might win." And then we all know what
Yeah,
happened.
it's the same
It's the same.
thing.
It's the same thing. Don't
It's
worry.
crazy.
Poilievre's got it in the bag.
They were all white people at Poilievre's thing, like literally all a sea
Canada's
of
pretty
white
white.
people.
Canada's pretty white. So I was in
Is
Quebec.
it? Have
Let's
you
talk
been
about
outside?
Quebec. Let's talk
Okay.
about Quebec. I was in
Quebec's
Quebec.
pretty white, yeah.
Guys, I was in Quebec. All right.
Where?
They speak French.
So annoying.
They speak
Where in
French.
Quebec were you?
My French, Quebec City.
Quebec
And
City.
I
That's
went
nice.
Le Massif and Mount St. Anne's skiing or
Ooh.
snowboarding. So mostly white people. That's pretty much what it is. Mostly French people. They
Yeah.
speak a little bit more, guys. If you haven't been there, they speak a little bit more English than we think they do.
Do they? It's just
Just
annoying
First
because
it's
there's the
French,
accent.
and they try to use more French, and I understand some French, and I say a few things here and there just to show off. You know what I mean? In front of people, like oui, oui, oui,
Une,
s'il vous plaît.
deux,
You know, but I'm really
une
bad.
coffee.
I'm really bad. I'm really bad. But at the end of the day, they do speak a little bit of English, and you know, they don't have
It's
big
Canada.
buildings other than like downtown and stuff like that too. It's very like much less developed than we are. It's a much simpler
Beautiful buildings,
lifestyle.
though.
Very, 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 relaxed type of economy. And they don't seem to have the same pressures as we do, to be honest with you. They all seem like they're pretty happy just to be
Yeah, because everything's half price.
tooting around. Yeah, tooting around in their
Right.
cars or, going skiing on the weekend and all that kind
No,
of
they
stuff.
don't give a shit.
Yeah, but they're good people. So, like before we talked a lot of stuff,
They're people.
they deserve to be here just like we all do.
They
Good
do.
people. Quebec
So,
people.
but if Alberta's just allowed to leave and they can do it, then
Yeah.
what the fuck has Quebec been doing all these years, threatening to leave? Like, why don't they just?
They had the referendum.
So why
What was that,
aren't
90,
they part
93, 94, 90, what was that? The
of?
referendum.
Why didn't they leave? What would
Big
they
news.
do on their own? Fuck.
But they have the Parti Québécois has the signs out
Oh, that's
still.
good.
So they're very they're there. There's like an
Referendum
undercurrent.
signs?
Like we're Quebec and we're separate and vote with us, keep our people. But anyways, I went there, I beat the system, I used English, I communicated, and I did just fine. So
Well done.
you guys should go there too.
Well done. Well
Yeah.
done, TK. So what's going on in real estate right now? The fact that it's been like half an hour and both of us are trying to avoid real estate discussion like
What do
the
you mean?
plague is indicative. I don't want to talk about real estate. Real estate is sad right now. Real estate
Why is it sad?
Why is it sad?
Like I'm
TK?
watching like on my team, like we're just selling like crazy right now. I'm several houses
Selling
a day.
like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like 900 of you.
Okay, but I'm just saying that there's buyers out there. Like, listen, you get it priced right, you sell it for the right price, it sells.
It
Like,
sells
like this isn't like everyone's so caught up in
what it was
real
worth,
estate. Nobody, yeah,
what it
like
was worth,
think about if you
what it
have a
should be worth.
if you have a, exactly if you have like a 25-year horizon and you look at, okay, what over the last 25 years, what was my expected growth rate and where should I be? We're still well above that. Going into like 30% year over year appreciation in 21, 22, 26, 2016, 2017, like these years, that made no sense. So we didn't even lose all of that. We didn't even like when we went from 2016 to 17 and we went up 30%, it only went down 15. When we went from 21 to 22, went up 30%. It only went down
We've
15.
been on this minus 15 number for a long time.
It's a
And we've
ballpark,
been,
but
well,
it's actually 25 by the time it's come down. So like you got to lose that steam, and you got to go to the point where you're eventually going to be back on track with what a 100-year timeline on real estate appreciation cycle is going to be. So it's
like
like, yeah,
land
prices are coming
values
down.
gone. Land
Prices are
value
coming down.
gone, bro.
No,
Gone.
you can't sell land right now.
Disintegrated. Forget about
Yeah.
selling it. Like just the
Yeah.
values are changing.
Yeah.
It's those goddamn
But
appraisers again trying to cover their
I'll
nuts.
I'll sell out a pre-construction building tomorrow.
Sure, me too.
Any location.
Half price. Yeah.
At the right price.
Yeah, at the right price. Way to go, TK. Everybody's
Okay.
bankrupt, but TK.
No,
well
I'm just
done.
saying. I'm just
Right?
saying. Like
TK's got his commission.
Like, everyone's like
He's
thinking to
bankrupt.
themselves, like, I can't.
I
No one
can't.
wants to ever buy it anymore. Like, no, it's just
Guys are
the
launching
developers
still.
can't afford to sell it for those prices. I totally agree with you, Darryl. Those prices that need to be marketed right now, developers will lose money, so they won't do it.
They
I
won't
totally
do it.
agree.
They
But is
won't
there
do it.
not somebody out there who owns land that could sell for those prices?
Yeah. Maybe. We're going to see because there's a couple of
And so-
launches coming.
And so those people who bought that land, however long ago, and got it at that price, who can't afford to sell at the right price to get it sold, okay?
They're just
They
planning on
exist
taking
because
less
of the price
money.
they paid. Eventually, if the land prices come down enough to
Yeah.
the point that they are similar to what
Yeah.
they might have been 10 years ago when those guys acquired the land, they will also be able to launch a new site coming up.
Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change? Anywhere in Ontario, guess what? We're hiring. Frankly & Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all RE/MAX teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Frankly & Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
Maybe. Fucking construction costs, according to people, are all over the goddamn map right now.
Okay, well, let's break
Lending
that down.
costs are
Let's
all
break that-
fucking
let's-
all over the place.
Let's
and
break that
crazy.
down. Right now, I think in Toronto we could sell out a building at $1,000 a square foot.
Ooh, Jesus. Okay.
Yes or no?
$1,000?
Yeah.
Maybe. It depends where it'd be. I don't think it'd go like you'd think, but yeah.
In the right location, no problem.
Yeah, look, in
What's-
Yorkville,
Whatever. Humor
Right?
me. Humor
One
me.
Yonge
What's-
Street for
what are the hard
$1,000
costs? What are the hard costs?
for what for that
$600
building?
a square foot.
Hold on a sec. Is this $1,000 a square foot? Is this like max market? Is this top of market? Because no, it's not. It's a typical building.
Mid market,
Mid-market
$1,000, great
typical
location.
building. Okay, let's say 450 for hard costs.
450 hard costs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what's your land coming in at? Did you just buy it? Did you just get a steal?
Well, we'll
Did you
figure out
just
the land
rob
cost after.
someone?
We'll figure out what we
We have to sell it for.
What about all your soft costs?
don't know.
HST, everything else.
You're
might be
probably another
couple
like,
$100 a square foot.
No, way more than that. Way
Okay.
more than that. I mean, it depends how big this fucking building is because you're gonna spread it
Just
over. a bigger
overestimate.
building. I don't know. Let's say 350 a foot, which is
Okay.
maybe even low.
Okay, so we got 450
But
for
let's
that's
say
that's
350.
800. That's
Yeah.
800. That includes HST. That includes everything, right?
I don't know. It's all fictitious. But yeah, let's say it includes everything it needs to include. What do you got? A $200 buffer there before
you
anything
got-
even starts? And
Yeah.
you didn't even include nothing.
No,
Right?
we included it. I just said overestimate.
We didn't even include the land, bro.
I know we're not there yet.
Right.
Okay.
We got $200 a
So
spread.
now your land cost can be 5%,
5%.
right? So
yeah.
50 bucks per buildable,
Oh, okay. So and this is in
right? And
Toronto,
now you got
downtown.
150
Yeah.
and now you got $150 a buildable
Yeah.
left of profit.
Okay. Well, you go do that deal because that's horrifically
I'm not-
scary. Because you know
I'm
what
not-
happens to that 150? Bye bye.
I told
See
you to
later.
overestimate. You told me you gave me 350.
Listen, I think there's not much buffer in there. 150 a square foot. I don't care how many square feet it is. No one's doing this deal. No one's doing this deal at all. And you got to go through the risk of building all that shit, dealing with all those people, borrowing all that money, building that goddamn thing, and the years it takes to do it. TK, not happening for $1,000 a foot. If you can do it for $1,000 a foot, okay, I don't know.
When
What are
you
your
sell
soft
out to
costs?
get your
Maybe-
construction financing,
Maybe you funded it yourself because you're a multi-bajillionaire. Okay. You funded the building yourself. You're not paying any interest. Okay. And I don't know, maybe your company manages the project themselves and doesn't pay themselves a fee.
those are
TK.
the soft costs. We've already included all that.
I know, but I think
okay.
it's low, to be honest with
Anyways,
you.
it's upsetting you. I can tell. I'm sorry.
upsetting
I
me
struck a
because-
nerve.
No, because even just thinking for a second that of course you can move the units for $1,000 a foot, but
Okay.
everybody's getting decimated that fucking invested in that thing.
I'm not saying that these guys bought the land anytime soon, unless they're buying it from a receiver, because that guy couldn't put the deal together at $1,800 a square
$50
foot.
a foot is cheap as shit for
But that's-
downtown.
But that
That's
might just
crazy,
be what
though.
it is.
It might, but you see, that
just
doesn't
might
even
be
work.
What it is.
And construction costs, they should come down technically, but I
Okay.
mean, nobody knows what to do with tariffs. So Altus Group just announced, they just released their cost guide for 2025.
Question
I
mark.
believe it was way later than normal. They were probably
Yeah.
waiting to see what was going on with tariffs. So
Yeah.
they just threw out this, like, I mean, rarely can you rely on it to begin with, but now it's like,
The range.
really?
It's like 400 to 800.
What is this shit? Everybody's
Yeah.
being so cautious right now because they
Yeah.
don't want to like give you something and then later it's more, right?
Yeah.
Because they've all seen what happens when the market's booming and you give somebody a forecast that's too low and it ends up being more than that and it just gets absorbed and everybody made a ton of money and everybody's happy. That doesn't matter. But when they give you something and it wasn't enough and the market's going to shit and now your
They
budget
never trust you again.
explodes, right? You're fucked, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're all being safe with everything and land values are being super safe. So it's like it's really hard to
Mhm.
do a project without a lot of money, right? Like a
Mhm.
lot of money and
Mhm.
way more money than you even needed before, right?
Mhm.
You need more money.
So your IRR is going to be a lot lower.
Well, it's just your well, if you can even get a deal done, for God's sakes, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing, is like, where does land have
so
to
here's,
be?
But here's my next thing though. Here's the next part to that, right? As I said that, what is our expectations on returns, right?
Enough
Well-
to be
well,
happy.
Look, I mean, you
To
know,
make
like
it
if you're
worthwhile.
if you thought, okay, that the stock market, okay, was going to do what it's done over the last 10 years,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You're a genius. You've come out a genius.
You've come out
But
a genius.
for you to think that it's going to do that again over the next 10 years, you're
Maybe a genius,
a little
Maybe
bit
not. We'll
overzealous.
see.
Okay.
Well, why?
because it could
What
be
if you pick
negative
the right
returns.
stocks?
It's
Oh,
just the way things
overall.
go. It's the way the market goes. It's got to correct itself. So maybe the next 10 years of returns are garbage. So maybe the next 10 years on your rates are going to come down because they're going to be trying to continue to stimulate the economy. So bond rates aren't going to be good investments. You're not going to have as many options on real estate as residential goes.
So what are you saying?
gonna have-
All
So
investment
expectations
will
for
drop.
returns will drop, and all of a sudden
Right.
now, if a developer who's got a fund or a REIT or somebody else like that is saying, "Hey, let's just try to return 3-4% this year, and we're doing
Yeah.
pretty good for ourselves,"
Yeah.
that might just be something that just becomes acceptable.
Well, I mean, look, when you are sitting and trying to be relatively safe, or you're trying to keep your wealth and not lose it because you don't want to be risky in the stupid stock market,
But your
right?
cash is getting eroded from inflation. Other
It's-
investments have
well,
got
or you
negative
gotta-
returns.
Yeah, you
Maybe
gotta
going
find
into something that's going to be like what we're talking about right now, which is making the least amount of money on a project. So I'm hitting the developers hard right now, I know, but that's just one possible scenario that comes out. Is that some people make
the
less-
returns, yeah,
people make less money over the next 10 years in everything, like everything,
sure,
everything's
Sure.
getting crushed.
everything's getting crushed. So, but what's going to be good moving forward, and what is the economy and the markets, and what is good? I mean, listen,
Why does there need to be something that's like exceptional?
it,
why
well,
does
it
there
doesn't
need to
have to be exceptional, but
But why
look,
does there need to be something?
because the cost of living grows so much every year that if you don't find ways of at least keeping pace with that, your life gets worse, right?
Okay.
And I don't know about you, TK, but I quite enjoy having more money than less. There is a freedom in having way more sitting in a bank account, not shrinking, than there is having less money in a bank account. And then if you add the it's not even that. It's just like, who the fuck wants it to go down, right? Who the hell wants it to lose value?
Nobody does. But I just think that everyone's
You
like,
need a way. You need
the
a way.
expectation, our mindset's broken. Our mindset's broken because everyone's just like, market's always good. It's gonna go up. Move your money here. Move your money there. Da 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 da. I mean, gold is probably going to be something that does well, right?
Gold. Yeah. So let's go buy some gold mining stocks. No.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I look at all these kids making money on meme coins and digital currency and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's going to get crushed.
Yeah.
Are
they still making money?
Girls
like
on
that?
OnlyFans, they're going to get crushed. They got AI girls on there now. So it's just like, you don't even need a real person anymore. So that gets crushed.
Right.
Real estate
doesn't get crushed?
Real estate agents get crushed. 75% of them don't even sell one house a year. Right? Developers get crushed. They'll lose the sites that they can't sell and they'll make less money on any sites that they can put out.
Yeah.
Right? Businesses will get crushed because there'll be more tariffs and there'll be more costs and expenses and stuff like that in order for them to operate.
Yeah.
Small businesses will get crushed because there'll be less customers. The economy will change. Like, yeah, it's sad.
And
like,
Vladimir Guerrero's going to get $600 million to play baseball. That's pretty crazy.
And I'm pretty sure that even in like the depression and all that kind of stuff, like the people who could bring entertainment and smiles to people's faces were the ones
still made money,
who were doing the best. So I'm pretty sure that you go. You found your industry.
We're going to be good, TK.
Entertainment.
Entertain people.
Entertainment. That will be the one thing that keeps people
the truth,
smiling
though.
and moving on. Yeah.
I just had this conversation yesterday. But no kidding. Forget about this podcast, but in general.
What?
We were having this conversation. We had for some reason, both my kids had 1 million people each here yesterday. And we somehow, I guess I kind of was poking the bear a little bit. I was like, what are you guys doing that isn't going to be replaced by a robot soon? Like, are you guys positioning your lives properly? Right.
That's a good conversation.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Who gives a shit? They came to my goddamn house. Right.
Yeah.
They don't have to talk to me, but they liked it.
Mr. Frankfort's talking to us about robots again.
This crazy fuck. What's he doing?
Yeah.
Right? No, but
I don't see any robots at his house. He's got a vacuum.
What do you mean? You bought me the robot, right? It's right there in the corner. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Connor the robot. But seriously, it's like, how do you position yourself for the next decade in this environment? Because look, if you are a creative, like if you like drawings or pictures, or you type stories or make anything to do with movies, like you're basically fucked, right? If you're a researcher, you're done. Right? Lawyers, like the underlings, what are they called? The little legal
paralegals and law clerks. Yeah.
The clerks and all the people training, like the low-level lawyers, they're all fucked. The amount of legal stuff that I do with ChatGPT, if you think I'm crazy, like, I mean, obviously you need to understand how law works to be able to do this, but this thing can replace a hell of a lot of legal fees. It's insane. It's insane. Okay. Creative fees, like so many things that it can do right now that kids, like one of my son's friend, he's going to school and he wants to be in HR. And I was like, HR is the most robot, like easily replaceable spot.
Well, you got to crush his dreams. What
I'm trying to help
18-year-old kid even like goes to school for the program that they're going to be employed in the future? That doesn't happen.
It's different, TK. You got to come out and make a lot of money. You can't come out and make fucking 25 grand a year. You can't come out and make 50 grand a year.
Maybe that's not what's important for everybody.
TK.
Yeah.
It has to be, because this is like, you don't want to live
but
on
maybe that's
craft
just how your brain works.
Oh, TK.
Maybe there's lots of people.
I've seen. Okay. Well, are you telling me that your brain doesn't work that way?
I'm saying it does.
I'm saying,
doesn't? There's people out there
that don't like shelter, don't like food, and
Who are just
despise
happy
heat.
with a simple life that they're happy with. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen them, TK. They're in the
They're
park right
happy.
now in tents. Okay.
No, they're
I
happy.
think there were
They're
some
happy
poor
and they're not thinking
decisions.
about the fact that they don't have X, Y, or Z. They're literally just happy
Oh,
to
because they're
be.
methed out of their brains.
No
Okay.
way. No way, Daryl.
Really? Are there
Yes.
really people out
There are
there that
people
are
who are
like,
much less ambitious than you and I. Yes.
forget about it, but 50 grand, it doesn't even get you like your own
There'll be
studio
people in the
apartment?
comments who will tell us that they have this much money, that they make this much money, and that they're happy, and that they live here, and they
In
do this, and that they're
Manitoba.
not whatever. But they're
I
not.
live
They're not
I live
complaining.
off of 50 grand. Great in Manitoba, where my rent is 350 a month.
I'm just saying that those people exist, and
What
that
do people do in Manitoba?
trying to tell an 18-year-old person, I'd love my kids to go into finance. Just go into finance. You know
Go
what I mean?
into
Just be a
finance.
finance bro, and everything's gonna work out great for you. But like, it's not realistic. If they're doing something and they don't love it and they don't want to be doing it and they're not happy, then
No,
it's
you
like,
gotta love it. But that's the point here,
how is that
TK.
going to be giving them anything?
If I could finish my point, TK.
Okay,
The
sorry.
whole point
Robot.
was that what we came up with as the answer for everybody is entertainment, is creating content that isn't
Yes.
robotic, that isn't fake, that is real, that is honest, that is like relatable, right?
Yeah.
Making content for what you are passionate about, for what you do want to do, is going to be like where people can create real livings now, right? Because the rest of the stuff, I don't know what you're going to do unless you fix robots or program robots or do something with robotics. There's going to be very few industries that are left untouched by this, right? And there's already not enough jobs going around. TK, I put up a thing on LinkedIn to hire, okay? Because I'm busy as all hell right now. I got way too much shit going on. So just to see what's out there.
What's the position title? What's the title? Development lead,
development manager, and operations manager, or something like that.
Okay.
Development.
What kind of resumes did we get here?
I got one good one. Okay?
One good one.
One good one, and a whole bunch that have nothing to do with what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Right? Gas station attendants, all kinds of bullshit. But one
They're sending out
girl,
resumes. Mom, I sent out 100 resumes today.
one girl.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't pay for the LinkedIn ad, so maybe they suppress my ad and you don't get as many people that are looking for ads.
Possible.
But like, I didn't get that many people that applied. And for an industry that seemingly has people all over the place that are planning on being displaced soon, I was really shocked at, one, the amount of applicants, two, the quality of applicants. And it's mind-blowing because there's so many people looking for work. I would have thought that the shitty applicants would have been like 10 times the amount that I got, and that there would be at least a few decent ones. But there was one decent one, and she was a young woman, and there's no way that would fly with my wife, and she wasn't even ugly, so that's never going to happen. So now I got zero applicants.
If you're listening to this, that was not the reason why he didn't choose your application. Is because
It's
we
the
have
main
other
reason.
applications from other qualified people
Less
that we are
good-looking
considering,
people.
and that unfortunately at this
Is that
point in time
illegal?
we don't have a job available for.
Did I say something
you.
wrong there, TK? Can you
Nothing.
not do that?
I took care of you.
But normally it's the opposite. You hire them because they're good looking, right? If you're good looking, you're not going to get unless you're male, right? Then you can work here.
So if you're not qualified
You're ugly
and that
female,
you've got
you're good.
the
Nope.
qualifications for jobs other than the one that I'm offering, then we will have to select another applicant. But thank you for applying.
Thank you for applying.
I should be in HR.
You could be an HR. You
I
were
should be,
so
yeah.
robotic there.
Give
It was
me
perfect.
like you said 25 grand?
You'd be replaced in a second.
Hold on, you're hiring, so give me a $25,000 a year HR position.
But I'm not hiring for HR because I could just do that with Chat GPT.
But no way.
$20 a
look how
month,
good.
bro.
Is Chat GPT going to filter everything that comes out of your mouth?
Well, I mean, you were a little late to that party. I mean, it
But
came out already.
It was a disclaimer right after you spoke, and it was relevant. And
If
the timing,
you were able,
I had good
TK,
timing.
if you could do it, if you had good timing, you would have
Yeah.
done it before I even opened my mouth,
I had good timing.
right? But
Yeah.
if you could have stopped that from coming out prior, then we're talking. Then there's
Oh.
a position here for you at DealCore Properties.
Editor, can we switch that up a little bit? Can we put what I said and put it in front of what Darryl said before we
right.
release this?
Yeah. Remember where you sleep, editor. Remember where you sleep. And how much your rent is, buddy.
Yeah.
TK,
It's all
but
good.
seriously, like it's a sad state of affairs. And then on top of it, the prices are coming down, but not enough for anybody in any
What
reasonable
prices?
income bracket, like house prices.
Yeah, they're
Right?
coming down. Listen, I got a house in
You can
Oshawa right
afford
now
a
for
good
sale for
house.
600,000, three
Where?
bedrooms, one
Oshawa?
bathroom,
Oshawa?
Oshawa.
Where? How
Like in a
much?
nice neighborhood in Oshawa. Like it's a really good, like solid neighborhood. Like I'd live there. It's right by the 401,
How
Harmony and
much?
401. 600 grand.
600 grand for a three
Yeah,
bedroom? How big is this thing?
1,000 square foot,
Bungalow?
bungalow,
1,000 square foot bungalow.
built-in
What size is the lot?
garage. It's like a kind of a reverse pie, not too much of one, but it's like 60 in the front. But like I would say it'd be equivalent to like a 50 by 110, but it's 60 in the front.
And when you say near the 401, does it back onto the
No, no,
401
no,
for
no,
the
no. It's near the 401. It's a
600,000?
great little, cute little
Wow,
street there. Yeah.
crazy. Why so
Yeah.
cheap, TK?
It's just the price of the neighborhood.
Are we
Like
baiting? Are
it's
we baiting? Are we
there's an
looking for
offer date, but
offers?
really
Offer date.
it's
699 with an
no,
offer?
it's listen,
Date?
it needs work. It needs work. It's an
Need some
estate
work?
sale.
Carpet everywhere? Is it carpet everywhere?
No, it's got hardwood floors. It's just a typical little bungalow from the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can get a good
Sounds
deal
low.
out there.
Sounds low.
Oh, we'll see. Right?
We'll
We'll see
see.
what happens.
Let's
But I
see
think
what
it's a good sign that we will get some normalcy back in the market. Like
Why?
that bungalow should be $400,000. You know what I mean?
What? When?
It should, well, not anytime
Where
soon,
is it?
but we're going to continue to see it
Oshawa,
drop.
right.
Yeah, we're going to
Oshawa.
continue to see it drop and continue to see prices fall, which I think it's going to happen for a long time. I mean, I'm not bullish on real estate by any means. Anybody
No.
who's buying right now with me is hearing the same thing. I'm not screaming, guys, let's get into the door and let's rush to buy. I'm
Yeah.
basically saying to all of them, take your time. Wait till you find the right house. Because none of them are saying we want to buy and flip. They're all saying I'm buying a house, I'll be there for 10, 20 years. So it's like and they don't like where they're living right now. So it's like they're buying. But
So CBC put out a video or a report saying that this might be the best time to buy. The opportunity is now.
they said that in 23 and 24 too, right? So,
Well, so is there an opportunity right now?
yeah,
Because yeah, what's the
absolutely.
opportunity? Yeah, you can find some steals.
No, the opportunity is moving. And trading one house for the next.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right. So
So
like when the market's hot, the worst thing that happens is, the market's hot. You want to go and buy a house. Everyone's bidding on it. There's so many offers. You can't get the house you want. So then you don't want to list your house because you're going to get it sold fast and that you won't have a place to go. So you're just basically stuck not doing anything. But in this market, it's slow. Upsizing, downside, it doesn't matter. Whatever the house is that you want to buy, it's going to be a lot slower than it was before. And you're going to be able to go for a second visit, have a home inspection, do all the things that you need to do and make sure that you're buying the right house. And
So-
then you can have a very conservative opinion of the value of your home. So that way you can make sure that you're going to have enough money in order to be able to buy the property that you're buying.
right. So
And
the
then
play
if you
is
end up getting
definitely
more because you do better and things go well and everything else, and the timing has to be buy and sell as close together as possible. The risk is in the
But you
distance
sell
between the
first?
buy and the sell.
But you
Every
sell
situation
first?
is different. There's a lot of sell first situations out there right now
Why would you not sell first right now?
because you're looking for a very specific home, or your home is really easy to sell.
And you have no debt. You have to have no debt to pull that move.
No, any
Really?
situation works. Like we have our guaranteed buy a sell program, which is when we give you a price up front to sell to buy your home, so that for sure it's going to be sold. But that's actually not as good of a program as the guaranteed buy. The guaranteed buy is you buy first, then we go to sell your home if the house isn't sold. So like that's your concern is you're going to have two houses because we couldn't sell your home. We'll actually give you the money to buy the first house so that you can close on it. Right? With no like private lender fees and all that kind of stuff.
Genius.
So we'll give you the mortgage on that. So then that way we
Genius.
have enough time to sell your house properly and you don't have to go through any like weird
Yes.
processes,
You
right?
guys have the answer to every rebuttal. It's unbelievable. It's really like that's a great weapon to have at your disposal as the answer to that question. Because really, it's really fucked up right now to make a decision.
Yeah,
Right? You
imagine buying a
wanna-
$2 million home, but you
Well,
need
it's
to
like,
sell
oh
your
my God,
$1.5
there's the
million home.
house. So there's the house. We got to
What-
buy it now. We got to buy it now, but we haven't sold our house. What if we don't get what we
Exactly.
need
And
for a house?
what
to
agent's
afford
going
that
to give you
house?
$2 million to close on that house that he bought from you, making his 2.5%? Nobody.
No. Well, one person.
One guy.
One
It's not
guy.
me.
And it's not TK. But no, but it's pretty crazy. So, but
Yeah.
like I know for us right now, we're looking at disposing of a property because it no longer fits the person's needs,
Yeah.
right? And this is not a want to sell. This is a need to sell because the
Shotgun at the
funds.
back of the
Well,
head saying, "Here you go."
if it's not today, it's in a few months from now, right? It's
Yeah.
like, no, but and so it's like, do we do it now? Is it going to be worse later? How much are we even going to get for this goddamn thing right now? Because it's a condo and that market is so fucked right now.
There's buyers for condos, man. Come on.
There's buyers for condos, but
Yeah.
it's like, what do you do? Because you got to move the guy out to sell the place properly, right? So now
Yeah.
you're gonna have to have two places, right? And so how long can you have the two places before it becomes a real burden, right? And how long do you hold out for a certain price before holding out for that price eats the whole of the difference, right? So you're holding out for an extra 100 grand and now you just lost 50 grand carrying two properties, right? Like when is it not worth it to do that stupid shit? But it's like
Yeah, the other
it's just
issue too is
thinking
just
about
like,
it is
anytime you
annoying.
got somebody who's got, stuff going on, it becomes a challenge sometimes to get them to cooperate 100%, right?
Well, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
That's a
And so
whole
you're
other
you're
story.
trying you're trying to get them to say like to do exactly what you need them to do, but like they're saying they're going to do it, but then they don't do it. I got a lot of situations like that, unfortunately, where
Well,
you
there's an
have,
aging population out there. And so I wonder if we're starting to see people, especially because of the times. I would imagine that there's a lot of next generation talking to their parents saying, like, maybe we should get rid of the house now and get you into a home before the value of your house goes down even more.
yeah.
You
I
know,
just I
like
just did a quick
now's the
little search
time.
here for you, just so you know, just give you
A
some
search
confidence.
for what?
Last 7 days,
Of
Toronto condo sales 187.
what? That's
Okay.
like 20 something a day.
So there's condos selling, all right? Like,
These are resale condos or selling?
all resale, yeah.
No
So
way. Where? Show
Toronto,
this. Show
Toronto.
me. In Toronto, how did you do this?
I
Toronto
just did
condos,
a
what price
search.
point? What's the
I
price point?
no price points, just
Zero price point.
condos in Toronto,
What's
all
the
over the
cheapest
place.
one that popped up?
A
What's the
parking space
cheapest?
for 45,000,
Well, the cheapest
and then a
condo,
bachelor was 8 Hillsdale that sold for 370, which is at Young and Eglinton.
370 at Young and
Yeah,
Eglinton. What do you get for that?
you get a 400 maybe square foot place with no parking. That's got
400, no
no
parking,
bedrooms, just a
370.
bathroom,
So what's
newer
that?
build,
Nine something a foot?
370. Um, yeah, maybe 850
Eight
to 9.
something a foot? Holy
Yeah.
Jesus, at Young and Eglinton. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
When did that sell? In the
Most
last
expensive,
week?
3.4 million
Hold on
at
a sec. Go back to that one. Was that one, does
Young
it
and
look like it
Eglinton.
was lived in? Was it lived in? Was
No,
it
it's
a
newer. It was newer.
newer
Yeah.
investor just fucking closed and sold it? Do we, I guess you
I don't know
can't see
there.
the
I don't
history
know.
of
But a
that.
3,200 square foot sold for 3.4 million. So that would be over a
What? What?
thousand
What?
bucks a square foot at
What?
Young and Eglinton as well.
Over 1,000 for a
Yeah.
resale. That's not
Yeah.
good at Young and Eglinton. That's pretty low.
But 3,200 square feet, that's a tough sale. That's a lot of square footage to start getting. The average price per square foot there is a lot
Mhm.
lower. The bigger the unit, the lower the price per
Yeah,
square
and it's
foot.
a Young and Eglinton, so it's got to be like a big unit in a normal whatever building. Who the hell wants to spend?
Yeah.
Who the fuck bought that? What was the
Young
price?
and
3.2 million?
Yeah, Young and Eglinton. I'm like, ugh.
Young and Eglinton, 3,200 square feet for three
I just
something
feel like
million?
I just feel like it's so far out of the way.
Out of the way of what? It's in the middle of the middle.
I know, but then you gotta like to get places that I go to often. This person bought it for 1.5 in 2009,
Good move.
so
Well
they
done.
flipped it nice, pretty well.
They
Yeah.
did okay for that. God, they're lucky they sold it. How can you see the history? Was it like listed a few times, terminated? They took less than they were expecting. What kind of deal is that? What happened there?
141 days on the market at this price,
Yeah.
but it was listed since
I wonder if all these deals
2023. They started at 4.3. So
start at 4.3.
3.4. So it's only like 900 grand less than they wanted
Whoa.
after 3 different agents.
But they did okay still. I mean,
Yeah.
considering, right? So I
I
wonder.
love how people change agents when the agent like
That's
it's
the
like
problem.
people when the agents do a great job, everybody says, "Man, I'm so smart." Man, I'm just so
I got the
great. I'm
best
so
agent.
smart. Da, 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 da. No, they don't even. They're smart. The seller's
they're
so
smart.
smart. The buyer's
Yeah.
smart. Whoever they are, because the agent did a great job.
Hmm.
When the seller or the buyer, makes a big decision that, like a poor decision, right? That maybe puts them in a compromising
Oh,
position.
it's the fucking
They say, my
realtor.
agent's an idiot. I can't
Yeah.
believe how bad he is. He doesn't
I
know what he's
can't
doing.
believe it.
Do you know what he baked at the open houses? He had pecans in the butter tarts. Can you believe that? What if someone's got a pecan allergy?
Yeah. So dumb.
Everyone's just so like
The whole problem right there.
exactly. So
Well, I mean, look at that though. That guy took now where did that original price come from? Who the hell knows? Was it right? Was it wrong? The guy
yeah.
didn't lose money though over what was it? A decade? More. 15 years, 16 years.
Doubled
Took
his
him
money. That's
16
fine.
years to make $1.5 million on that place, right?
Principal residence tax free. He's doing well.
1.7. He did
Yeah.
okay. Not
Yeah.
not the worst deal ever. And maybe he lived there. But again, Young and Eglinton, what is that? Like a penthouse? Or that's like a typical floor?
It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good
It's a good one. I don't know how good it is. That's a dumb move. I gotta say,
one.
3.2
But
million.
maybe they got
Young and
money.
Eglinton.
Maybe they got money, so that's not a big deal for them, right?
Maybe that's
Maybe
where
they're
they
not looking
ship
to go into
their.
development or anything like that, and they're just happy to be living in a place that they can afford, and they got a business that's making them way more money than real estate ever did.
Well, it could very well be the case, but then like go somewhere that's not Young and Eglinton because that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's a big unit for Young and Eglinton. See, that could not have been a decision made by the developer. That was a decision forced by planning, right? Young and Eglinton, there's no
What
end
do you mean?
user units. Who the hell's building the big, giant, big 3 bedrooms and looking at the performa and going, this is the right idea. Let's get less per square foot for a giant piece of the GFA, right?
Mhm.
That we can't sell because we're focused on investors, right?
Mhm.
That was like a forced thing. Anyways, I don't know why that was important to me to say that, but TK, I think we just need free
Nothing else there.
markets in Canada, in the world, in Toronto. We just need real free markets. We just need to let the markets do what
And
they
we
really
and we
need to do.
we need to
No more
praise we
policy.
need to praise the tariffs for the change that they're going to bring, because ultimately me and
Oh
you
my
on this
God.
podcast are not going to change a thing. The guy listening to this right now, typing on his keyboard before I finish my sentence, he's not going to change a thing. Nobody's going to change a thing. We have zero power over tariffs. We have zero control over what the
No.
governments are going to decide, or the relationship or the trade war or anything like that. So the
No.
only thing we can do is just have like a positive outlook and say this is going to be a good thing for Canada long term, because we're all Canadians listening to this show, and we all want the best for Canada, and that we got to be able to look at it like, hey, we're going to find a solution in order to make sure that we come out of this as best as we possibly could.
I
Because
personally,
fighting fire with fire ain't gonna work. Sorry, guys.
well, I personally want what's best for me. And then I assume that what's best for me is likely what's best for Canada. But the truth of the matter is we all want what's best for us. And I mean, if I lived in Mississippi, I'd probably want what's best for the United States, right? Not what's best for Canada,
Yeah.
right?
Lower taxes. That's the answer.
Lower taxes is always the answer,
Lower
but it's
taxes.
rarely the solution, unfortunately, right? We're taxed to death, we're demotivated, we're beaten to death by these
Yeah.
crazy policies. Imagine being a kid trying to figure out what the hell's what these days.
They
Like,
should have a
it's fucking
policy where it's
insane.
like, if you have a certain percentage of your business that is outside the country, whether it's with the states or any other country, you fall under a special tax bracket, right? So that'll offset the tariffs. It'll give them relief in order to be able to have better competitive pricing with the global markets and stuff like that too. It'll inspire a lot of companies to keep their offices here and to move their offices here, right? In order to be able to already trading globally and stuff like that too. It'll stimulate a huge growth and innovation and new startups and stuff like that too for people who want to be, whether they're here already or
should,
from
yeah.
abroad, and it'll really impact the economy. It's just government math, they just don't know how to. We talked about this before when they turn a parking lot into a building and the property taxes go up 100 times, but they just can't do that math. They're stuck on the development charges that they get once,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the issue. Is they just can't do the math on how much more revenue that'll drive. And I don't know who the government is who's going to do that, because what Pierre's talking about right now, and we're all for him, isn't enough either. But he's just staying one step ahead. So we need Carney to go in there with a hammer and just like lay out a plan that's just gonna like totally crush Poilievre. So then Poilievre has to one up him so he gets elected, which will vote for him, right? And then he's got to keep
Running
his
out of time.
promises, and it's gonna be. Here we go. But you're right. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, they're running out of
Before the
time is
election.
all, right? And it seems like Carney just keep whatever the hell Poilievre was saying, Carney is doing, and he's in power to actually do it, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. The whole thing's going on with Carney and Trump and Poilievre and this whole spectacle going on right now is pretty weird. It's pretty weird. And all these pundits in the States are so anti-Canada right now. It's so weird to see. All these people that used to love Canada, right? All of them in the States would say how great and friendly and beautiful Canada and Canadians are.
Just
We're
the
dumb.
arrogance comes out in Americans sometimes that we
Well,
don't
now
have.
that we're at war,
We
it's
don't have
like,
we don't have the arrogance that Americans have.
when I was at the baseball game the other day, this couple came in beside us, and the people were booing the other team, and the guy was like, "What's going on?" And she goes, "Well, we're at war with your country." Right? The guy
Yeah.
was from the States and she was from
I had
Canada.
no idea.
He had
That's
no
what I meant to
idea,
say.
right?
So in Florida, when I was in Florida, I was asking the guys, the Uber drivers and the local people and all that kind of stuff, like, what do you think about Canada? What's going on? They all disagree with Trump's tariffs,
Yeah.
but really they have no
They
knowledge.
don't give
of
a
Canada.
fuck.
They're
Yeah,
really
they're
like,
like,
what do you mean Canada? Like, what are
what
you talking
about
about? But we know about the
Iran and
tariffs that are like
Yemen?
outside the country, and that we think that that's crazy. And even in Quebec, same thing. But that might have been like a language barrier. I don't know.
The States have bigger fish to fry at the moment. They're like in a million wars. Their dollars like at risk of being no longer the reserve currency. They got all these populations around the world growing around them, targeting them. It's like it's pretty intense.
Liberation
I think, what's
Day,
going on.
Daryl. Hey, you want to come to my barbecue?
Liberation Day. But I have to eat first because we're not eating the food. We're just cooking it, is what you said, right?
We're gonna cook U.S. Produced poultry and beef
KFC.
and hot dog
You want me to
products.
bring a bucket of KFC?
And imagine if they boycotted. In Quebec, it's PFK.
PFK.
Free Kentucky.
My body's been boycotting KFC for years, but my son seems to like it. And if I remember correctly, so do I. I could drink that gravy, quite honestly. Like if my wife wasn't around, I would drink that gravy, TK. That's the truth.
It's a good way to end the show.
Early morning, cold Kentucky Fried Chicken gravy
Jell-O.
straight out of the cup. What is better than that, TK?